It's been a while since I've done a PvP video, but I've been really enjoying DB Amp on Apex Killers recently, and I've had some good fights with it, so here is part 1 of however many videos I make on this guy. If you'd like to skip the small intro that I want to do and get straight to the combat, head to this timestamp, although I should have put chapters in the video by now so you can follow those too if you want. I ran a poll last week and the majority of you would like to see the longer videos with uncut fights. If you're part of the few which would have liked the boring parts cut out, then feel free to scroll past those parts in the video if you want. I'll be narrating other parts of the fights too, but I won't be talking the entire time. Thanks to all who voted, it's much appreciated. So just to be transparent with you guys, here's what the stats are for this big guy on the Apex Killers server. This may seem like it's on steroids, but believe me, there is one glaring weakness to this guy, and that is bleed. I have died many times to some very skilled players on Apexes which specialise in delivering high amounts of bleed, such as Carcharodontosaurus and Giganotosaurus. They played the long game, and that's what it takes to kill a sauropod, not trying to face tank it with a bloody Rex. And no, I don't use Honker on this guy, it seems way too overkill, and let's be honest here, it makes for a boring fight, both to participate in and to watch. The extra knockback is hella fun, so I'm just use that instead. These clips will range from when I was still rather inexperienced at the start of the video, and towards the end of the video I start to gain more experience. I'm not perfect by any means, but getting better and learning. Okay, now that you know what we're working with, let's head into the fights. Here I'm facing off with two Tyrannotitans. I tend to start off with the headbutts a lot of the time as it pushes them back. Unfortunately they baited out my big boy stomp there, but thankfully Amp recovers from that attack quicker than say Argent or Ipato. My inexperience shows in this fight at times though, as I'm still getting used to timing a lot of my attacks. One of these guys had Feast. I'm not a fan of facing opponents with that because I'm very slow and I can't catch them. Here I hadn't realised that my tail attack was actually cooling down, since I was still trying to use it. Yeah, as you can see, these guys had put a lot of bleed on me. 10 minutes when I'm trotting, so I'm trying not to move. You can see they're three-calling and trying to taunt me into running after them. And here I shouldn't have moved at all. Again, I'm still learning how to fight with the amp at this point. One thing I learned is to let bleeders come to you. An experienced amp in close combat is pretty much a death sentence to any apex. Now this call raises any Sauropod's armor by 30% within a certain range, and thankfully it works when you're solo. It doesn't help with the bleed, but it'll nullify some of the raw damage. Unless it surpasses armor, that is. Again, I got kind of mixed up with that cooldown. Sometimes going full sprint and headbutting your opponent is actually a good move with amp. Just watch your stamina if you do that. Doing an idle looking emote can sometimes draw your opponents in. This time, however, they did keep the distance. And I couldn't resist here. It's free damage and my bleed had gone down a lot, so... The Titan with Blood-Soaked was staying back a lot, so they'd probably taken more damage than his friend. The tail attack can be pretty janky at times, but I think I just mistimed it again here. And there we go. Like I say, charging at them and spamming the headbutt is quite effective. Now here you can still hear them in the distance, three-calling at something. And then this popped up in chat and I realised one of them must have actually been starving towards the end of the fight. Poor guy, but I wasn't on the menu that evening. Here we have a fight with the DB Giga. These dinos do make me nervous as they can spam that dang flesh graze and it's not nice to go up against as a slower dino. They can also spam their charge bleed bite, which does an insane amount of bleed if they can stack it. However, it's all down to whoever is playing that dino. If they are patient and play the long game, I'm in trouble. I managed to get a lot of headbutts off with that chase. So I thought that was a 4-call, but they seemed pretty persistent. I was trying to watch my stamina here too. The regen isn't great, so when the Giga walked off I sat, even for a second or two. This player was indeed trying to play the long game, but they hadn't done nearly enough bleed. There's a lot of walking away from and towards one another and three-calling, to be honest. Eventually, they retreated for the final time. Now this fight was when I truly realised Amp's strength. An elder female T-Rex is using the knockback bite at the moment to try to push me into the water, where she would have the advantage since she can dive for some reason. However, the knockback bite does very low damage as well, so despite her biting me a lot, I was barely losing health. I popped my armor core because I had no idea what abilities T-Rex had at the time, so it was more of a precaution. Oops, nearly ran into that poor Rex and his body. Excuse me. Now one thing I have to point out with Amp, its hitboxes are hella weird. Like you just saw there, I can get hit from a mile off, and it isn't a ping issue, it just happens a lot. Oh, and sorry for the shaky mouse. I use keybinds on the side of my mouse, so when I spam one key, it makes the camera shake. If the T-Rex had used a different bite during this fight, then I would have had a lot less health. Oh dear lord, this bloody fight. So here I had only been logged in about a minute when this happened. What in the knockback of a freight train just happened? Well, as is plainly obvious, this didn't look good for me at all. Now, I will warn you that this is a very long fight, with a lot of standing and waiting, so if you want to skip to the good parts, then that's fair enough. gave a few of them some good hits there, and they are taking reflect damage every time they hit me, which is also an advantage. Now here I really should have used more foot stomps as they deal way more damage, but they are also easy for the Pycnos to bait out, and the headbutts can stop their charges with the knockback as well. This pack of carnage decided to run right through the middle of the fight, and I ended up head slapping one of them because they look very similar to the Pycnos. I was just trying to keep everything away from me at this point. Sorry to the carnage, but come on man, read the room, you know? The amount of knockback that these Pycnos are doing to a Sauropod is kinda insane. Here is where most of the waiting happens, as the Pycnos are healing up a bit. I soon decide that enough's enough. I pop my armor call again and run at this Pycno. And then I get thrown around a stupid amount. This narrow area is perfect for an amp though, and as my second tail slam lands, the battle is finally over. I'm still healing from that fight here, and I notice a Quetz keeps chatting to his friends close by. I stand up to avoid any surprise attacks, and sure enough, his buddies come swooping in. I mess up a lot of the timings in this fight, and the amount of bleed these things can deliver is frightening. I'm not sure how that barrel roll missed, to be honest, as it literally clipped through me, but hey ho. And yet more horribly timed attacks from myself. Apart from that one tail swipe. Fortunately, I managed to time one well enough that it's a fight. I was fully expecting to die to these guys, to be honest. Okay, so I won't play any music for the moment because here I just want you guys to listen very carefully. Yeah, is it me, or is Zhuchengtyrannus almost completely silent when it runs? This is why I was caught completely by surprise. I recovered quickly though, and then landed a deal breaker for the Zhucheng. If I had tail whipped there instead of headbutted, then I may have killed him, but he lived to tell the tale. This PT Rex seemed very eager to hunt me. When he used his vocal ability, I took advantage and started the assault myself. And he used the wrong attack. I was looking to pull off a big stomp here, and if you land it, then you gain the ability to land fracture on your hits for a certain amount of time. And one last big boy stomp seals the deal. The Edmonds looking on was kind of funny. Now you may be thinking, what the hell are you doing? Amp swims about as well as a brick. Well, there were dragons around and I didn't want to die to their stupid fire breath attacks, to be honest. This female C-Rex is walking up to me and eyeing me up, so I pop off a 3-core. At the exact same time that the other female C-Rex in the area does. If you guys didn't know, in this server, female C-Rexes don't tolerate each other in the same POI. It's just to balance out the amount of apexes in one area. I may be wrong here, but I think they were trying to avoid a fight with the other, who I think was actually Whiskey River, who is a very decent on C-Rex. Shout out to them, go check out their channel. This particular C-Rex was very cautious, but 3-cored a lot. Yeah, I wasn't exactly going to swim with a semi-aquatic Rex. This is where I started using the foot stomps as a kind of taunt. You'd be surprised how often this works. probably noticed that my amp is no longer wet. Keep this in mind for a few seconds. Yup, this C-Rex can also breathe fire, but is nowhere near as strong as the Dominus, thankfully. Eventually I decided to just take this as a win, as they weren't leaving the water, and I headed up the hill to heal. Now this isn't a fight per se, but I found it really funny. Yeah, I think the tail slam must have been a headshot. The player laughed it off though, joking about it in global chat. We need more light-hearted players like this. I included this fight because it allowed me to practice my timings a lot more. As you can see, it needs work. I'm learning and improving all the time though, and even small fights like these help. The stomping taunt seemed to work again with this dash, but I think the tail slam made them rethink the fight in the end. This was an interesting fight, as I hadn't fought airborne opponents before. It was very tricky. Also, can we take a moment to appreciate these gorgeous griffin skins? Like, wow. A lot of the time I was just trying to use headbutts to knock them out of the sky. I have no idea why I didn't headbutt there, to be honest. I think they were taking a lot of collision damage too. and my timing with the tail slams left a lot to be desired. Here though I managed to knock one of them out of the sky and the 4 damage did the rest of the work. I was actually wanting to log off here when this Carch started circling. If I unblur global just a bit, you can see the time. Yeah, I was on almost all-nighter here. This was another fight with a lot of waiting around, but again, I was working on my timing with attacks, so any fight is welcome for me to learn and improve. With bleeders, I've learned that it's better to wait until they come to you, than getting as much damage as you can whilst they're in the vicinity of your attacks. At first I thought they were just backing down here, but they weren't done yet. They kept backing off really far and then coming back. I kept recalling to see if they wanted to keep the fight going, as to be honest I wasn't sure whether they were coming or going half the time. As you can probably tell from the fact that I haven't cut the footage here, this fight still wasn't over. A well-timed stomp and a headbutt to follow, and they eventually ran off into the sunset, and I could finally log out and sleep. I wasn't paying much attention here. I'd just gone swimming as dragons were near, and these Deinosuchus were cool. This was a very lazy fight on my part, getting hit when I shouldn't and using a few wrong moves, but everything's a learning curve. Instead of headbutting this dino in the water, I should have just used stomp attacks. After the Edmonds show up, the dinos decide to rest on the opposite bank, so I take the time to retreat and heal. There is a fight which took place after the one just now, but I'm saving that one until last. This C-Rex comes bounding up to me and despite my numerous 3 calls, doesn't want to back away. So after tanking the fire breath, I chased them literally all the way back to the water. It was quite funny. The Torvo nearby was following me for a while, but they weren't hunting me. They just seemed to be heading in the same direction, so I was chill with them. I had been exploring a bit more of the map, and was slowly ambling my way back to GP, cause, let's face it, that's where nearly everyone hangs out now. Then I spot two Dominus flying our way and thought, hell no. So I took a little dip in the river to prepare. The Torvo made a dash for the trees like me, but then I thought, if they can't use their fire breath, they're not really a threat. I confronted this one who just landed, and what happened next is nothing short of hilarious. The way they froze for a second when they realised that neither of their fire breaths had worked was just amazing. This fight was in close quarters, so it didn't take too long to dispatch one of them. A Dominus without its fire breath is like a Sarco without its water. This Kryptops was quick to admit that they bit off more than they could chew, but they gave it a damn good go. Again, any fight helps me improve, which is why I'm including it here. They were also good sports about it in Global. Another wholesome player that we really need more of in the community. Now here is the fight that I said I was saving until the end. Here I was still healing from the fight with the two Deinosuchus, and I heard and spotted a PT Giga pair strolling nearby. I moved when I thought it was safe, but I was spectacularly wrong. They ended up chasing me into birchwoods. When I realised that they were in fact coming after me, I used my armour core and prepared a tail slam. At first I thought only one of them had chased, but I was yet again spectacularly wrong. I gave chase to the green Giga to put in as much damage as I could. And then I heard the other one and thought, well, damn. However, I timed this hell slam pretty well. I pressed the wrong key here and I was actually trying to get out of walk, but I hit my stomp key instead. In the heat of battle, I become very unorganized. Now that I think about it, I really should have kept water between us. I peeked around the corner to see if the other Giga was waiting and took the opportunity to sit, but got up a little too slowly. That huge life spike certainly didn't help. I was lucky enough to get a big stomp in, but this ended up giving me a bit too much confidence. I was trying to get to the green Giga, but the bleed was really holding me back. I took every opportunity that I could to sit. Even a few seconds can lower the bleed a lot. Since I had stopped bleeding, I wasn't worried about moving, but my stam regen isn't great, so I couldn't chase too much. very noisy Emperor. another lag spike, definitely not in my favour. Yeah, I had no idea what that Moses plan was, to be honest. It's pretty clear who wins now, and at first I was pretty harsh on myself for how well I did, but looking back I didn't do too badly. And as I keep saying, it all helps me improve. I can't win them all. Another shout out to Whiskey River here, as he was the green Giga. GG's. Being a solo player is not easy at all, but I'm pretty comfy with this mod, and I love it. Thanks for making it this far in the video. There will definitely be another one, as I still have a lot more footage. If I do say so myself, I keep improving the more I play Amp, so the next video will be an interesting one. And if this video does well, I may even do some fancy intros with the stats of my opponents as well. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a good day.